In this video segment on Python programming from beginner to programmer, we'll discuss and learn how to insert, update, and delete rows of data um, into a particular SQLite database table. So let's go to our classroom slide and have a look at what is the action that's being performed by insert. In fact, we have seen this insert in action before, right? When we created the table programmatically, and then we sort of peppered it with some inserts to enter data. And we used cursor.execute many as a means of inserting multiple rows. And even with a single row, I would encourage you to do that as well. Now here we see another way to insert. First of all, to perform any Python SQLite interface, we always need to have the three colored blocks. And I'm combining the green and the cyan into one because commit is always necessary, just to ensure that what we want is actually committed to the database and reflected in the database. So I'm going to take it as a standard instruction, is a standard preparation procedure that you will automatically carry out by importing and connecting to the database. And then at the end, the white section where we close the cursor and close the connection. In the middle, we will do all the new commands and learn how to sort of handle them whenever and wherever there are peculiarities. So here, I'm going to insert into account, right, the values this as explicit strings embedded within the command string. This is not a good way to do it, but I'm just trying to show you here by inserting one row of basically all texts, we can do it this way. Not totally encouraged because if the string is being hacked into or whatnot, I mean, so goes those cautions and guidelines that advise us to use execute many with the explicit supply of data values from Python instead of forcing everything into string. Yeah, so for a simple example like this, I'm just trying to show you that it can be done. And we insert it as one pure command. So we execute it, commit it, and we didn't read back. It's not always necessary to select back the same row that we inserted. So we close and close. Okay, so from here on, I'm just focusing discussion on the green blocks because that will be the new materials for the slides. So starting with the script that we ran earlier on to create this sort of barebone basic raw database in accounts.db, we are going to insert into it and get row 11 like this. Yeah. Now, notice that we call the database account.db, not accounts.db, right? And also, we are going to insert into the table called ACCT, not spelled in full account. Rather, we have ACCT. So in order to support this, we're going to both save the script that we created earlier on and adjust to this new spelling accordingly. So in other words, new spelling is everything is ACCT. That's all. Okay. So let's go to our spider. This was what we discussed earlier on, and I'm going to basically say acct.db. It's good to shrink it a little bit and review the Python, all right? And I'm going to throw away the original accounts, right? And I'm going to save our database creation file for account acct.db under this script called SQL create db.py. So we're going to create the table, and the table will be account, more like ACCT, right? And be consistent across ACCT, create table ACCT, and all these data values we skip across into account ACCT, select from account ACCT. Yeah, so then we save it. Okay, done. Let's run this to create the acct.db database. Good. So we are there. Now, if we open up using SQLite Studio, we should see ACCT database with the single table ACCT and having 10 rows of data that we actually inserted. So we've seen this already. Now let's move on to a new script, and we're going to borrow from our own code a little bit here. All right, whoops, up to the cursor is what we want. Okay, okay, and we can actually delete it and have a new one. All right, so we can do that. And just to make sure that we are in the right directory, I'm going to force it dot change there to my working directory. You can put in your own working directory wherever your operating system tells you to. Okay, now we have cursor and we are ready to insert. Where is our insert command? Let's do that here. Okay, so we put everything in a single string and we're going to shrink this a little bit so that we can see the formatting. Okay. Now we will just basically back indent and we should commit it. Once we commit it, we also need to close it. You should be doing that automatically by now. All right. And we don't have to read back what we have stored. Okay, so that's it. Okay, if we are ready, we can now just run it. Okay, so we didn't read back nor print anything, so it's done. But over here at SQLite Studio, it is still connected to the same ACCT database. We can do a refresh and we see the next 11th row that we just recently inserted. Yeah, okay. Now, basically, that is our example illustration. If you have multiple rows to insert, you can always go back to SQL Create DB there. There's a good illustration of using cursor.execute many to uh, insert multiple rows. So back to our slides here, right? We now want to update. So coming hot from the insertion of the entertainment row, we would like now to update. So to update, we will open the connection, right? Update the account, set the name instead of saying entertainment alone. We forgot, and now we change our mind. We say we want to name it after entertainment and claims. So we just, because the account code is unique, we just say account code is equal to XENTR and execute that, commit it, and that's all. Now, basically, the update is done in this block, finish. What I want to show you additionally is that we can also ask SQLite, hey, how many rows have been modified? Remember, we saw that in SQLite Studio. So that is actually a number or characteristic supported by the SQLite database rather than SQLite Studio. So what we can do is we can also ask the database, hey, database, how many rows of changes did you experience in the previous, the most recent operations? So by executing this SQL command, select means read, right? Read that register, read that variable called changes. This is how it goes, right? Read that function called changes. SQL Server will sort of beep into its memory and say, oh yeah, that 5 rows were changed in the previous command, then it will return 5. 0 row was changed in the previous command, so it will return 0. So we read that back, and because we use fetch all, it will be a list of lists. So there will be one and only one row because the changes is just one real number, or one integer. So we take out the first row and take out the first column, and essentially we get the number of changes as an integer and we print it out. So this is one new trick that I want to show you in this green block here. Yeah, and of course this can only be done when you commit it. So then it's actually modified and changes will take place. So let's see how this is being done. Now it is good to start a new file and do the same thing that we have done, right? So all these are copied over, okay? And then we will copy, well, we can copy everything. Copy everything here. And basically to modify this directly using from the slide. Okay, Okay, so we have this update account set name and everything, and that's fine, looking good. Okay, what is this? Oops. Where account code is actually XENTR. Close. Okay, what else? No, that's all. Okay, so we need to end the string here. So update account, set the name where account code is this, just to check, execute it, commit, and then we are done, right? And also, we like to insert the new uh, trick and see what we get from here. So I'm just copying the entire block from the slide. So select doesn't copy over nicely. Select changes, not change. Okay, and then we execute SQL command. And once that is done, we can ask for all the rows. Basically, that is just one number, but cursor is cursor. It will always return the same structure, which is a list of lists. So in this case, because it's a very fixed format returned by the SQL Server, it's always one integer wrapped in a list of one row of one integer. So we can say that, from the data list, give me the first row, and the number of changes is an integer to be taken from first row's first cell, which is the first column. So then we say we print the number of rows changed is num changes, all right, and then we close off. Okay, let's do a final check, and all right, that's fine. So let's run this.